Okay, that should be going. Hopefully. Hi, I'm Jello. I am the editor and the rest of things except illustration for So This Is Basically.
Hi, I'm Siv. I'm the illustrator. That's it.
That's it. I just make 85% of the video. Um, yeah, so this is just a little Patreon exclusive thing because I used After Effects for this video, and I generally use Vegas, but this time around I used After Effects, which has a lot more finesse to it, and it lets you do a lot more things. So I just wanted to go through a couple of the effects. I did a live stream like this once for the Ruby video, but I didn't save it. So that doesn't exist anymore. So I figured it might be fun to do another one since this is so intensive. I just wanted to go over some of the effects I did. So I also have some of the reference videos I pulled things from. I just remade a bunch of effects. So this is one I did a lot of. This is just the opening, which you can see there's a lot of there's a rain effect I actually didn't do. I just said fuck it because I would have had to draw that from scratch.
That's
And
too much stuff going on.
yeah, there was other stuff. It looks fine as it is. But as you can see, actually, oh, it is at 1080. Okay. So with this video, you can see there's a film grain scratch on the red background. There's just so much happening. There's a ton going on in this opening. The Persona 5 opening is fucking gorgeous. All of the UI, UX, and movement and animation in this game is just like really, really cool and well thought out. It was very fun to recreate. So I made a film grain scratch. I don't 100% remember how I did that. Let's see how. If you've never used After Effects, everything is on its own layer. Nothing, which is why like even similar things are staggered in this weird skyscraper formation.
It's like a stack of blocks.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot going on. I mentioned to you at the start because normally we just number this like for board 1, it'll be like 1A, 1B, 1B shadow, and that's it. For this, I end up having to rename a lot of the files, otherwise I get lost. So let's see what's in here. Let's just see how deep this goes. After Effects has a special ability. This is its Pokemon special ability called pre-compositions and compositions. So every video is like its own project. So for instance, in my main project, we have each of the... Sorry, everything's very small. We have each of the main compositions. So here at the bottom, this is like the first scene, second, third, etc. If you double click on the first one, you can go into the first scene, and this would encompass everything from this is the opening logo. It's got Joker skating, has the horrible Richard Epcar, and then he gets slapped, and that's the first board. So that further breaks down into the logo detail. It keeps going. You get the idea. So I don't 100% remember how I did some of these things, like the film scratch. Let's find out. I looked this one up. I used some kind of fractal noise pattern and then inverted it. So it was originally like this weird wiggly white thing. So what happens if I just delete this? Oh, it's just gone. Well, there you go. There's the answer. But yeah, you can change this. It kind of looks like this. And by doing the noise, it does this horrible thing, which I actively hate looking at. But if you turn it way down, it makes these little blips.
It's just like little flecks, yeah.
Yeah, and that I'm surprised I only ended up using that once, actually. I really like it. So then this took, I think, 10 hours for the first couple seconds. So this has a million moving parts. Let's watch the thing it's based on. That's it. It's about 2 seconds. And in case you aren't aware, you can go through YouTube videos frame by frame by using the comma and period key on your keyboard. Extremely useful for many reasons. But for me, so you can see this video starts with all this black shit in the front. There's a lot of squigglies. I didn't have any of those squigglies. We were starting with the letters. I didn't have a Arsene in front. So we recreated this spiral. We have these additional scratches. I had Siv draw those out, and then I ended up moving them every single frame into a different spot so they jittered. Now, you can see the P and the 5 are here, and they both have a shape. Every single frame, it changes shape and changes rotation. There's a spiral in the background that moves very slightly. It gets thicker and then disappears. There's also these black shapes. So all of this stuff is moving. A white target appears in the background. That was fun and weird to recreate because it moves at like a very specific weird frequency where it like sometimes replaces the lines as it goes out, but not all the time. And then as it keeps going, I forgot about this. Each of the letters bounce in place. That was super annoying.
That's cute.
And then Morgana appears. A lot of the animation in Persona 5 in general is like kind of staggered and blocky in a really cool way, so it makes it look gritty. So you can see I redid all of those things from scratch. I will not go into it because it took a very long time and there's a lot of shit, but like the bouncing letters, that's its own composition. I have it replace the black logo with the white logo with the shadow underneath it. I didn't have Morgana run in front of it at first because I wanted to hang on the logo until Nasty Crime Boy, and then he skates across, zoop, and then I recreate this little thing that happens afterwards, or beforehand. It's hard to remember which order. I changed the order, too. So a lot of this was just me staring at this for like 3 hours going, what do I move where to make this work? So yeah, these two things appear, and then they slash out to the right. So I did that basically, and then I created this little ink effect as a transition. This next shot is based on this. Joker skating in the rain. Obviously, it doesn't look quite that finesse, but it still looks pretty cool. This is the big thing that I was not able to do in Vegas. Is just little simple shit like. The easiest way to say what I couldn't do in Sony Vegas is the big one thing I was for sure missing. You can squinch things. You can squinch them. You can squunch them. You cannot do that in Vegas. If you size something down in Vegas, it either does it to the aspect ratio, or it will like mask it out. Depending on what you do.
I have a question about this shot.
What?
I have a question about this shot.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn you up real quick.
So the way, the way that this is moving, and where it's one of those really long ones, did you do the same? Like, I think the what's the word that you used on the Sonic one? Where like you made the background move at like a different speed.
Parallax.
Or whatever? Did you do? Yeah, parallax. That was.
So there is actually a way in After Effects you can use a 3D camera, which I tried in. I tried to do that when I was working on Epithet Erased, and I found it a nightmare. So, no, actually, I faked it again here. You can sort of program parallax, but yeah, what's going on in this one is normally in Sony Vegas, you would have to do like, you can't loop a background, not well at least. So I would just have Siv draw like a fucking enormous thing, and we would just drag it to the left, and the person running in the middle would just basically kind of shake in place, and it would look like they were running to the right because the entire world was moving to the left. In this, what I did is, let's see if I can actually find where I did this. It'll take me 2 seconds, but it's kind of neat to look at. Logo street. Yeah, the street. It's not the best illustration of it, but yeah, that works fine. So it is. I wasn't sure whether or not we were going to do this whole video in After Effects until I started working on it and went, why the fuck wouldn't I do this in After Effects? The answer is sound effects. But so what you do, you can see these little frames here. Is you do. I think I duplicated these themselves are pre-comps. I think Oh no, okay. It is. Sorry, it's weird to try and reverse engineer what I did. Here we go. Okay. So to set this up, I did duplicate it one time. That more or less that will allow me to loop it correctly. So at the beginning, actually, I think this works the same. Yeah, there it is. So it has this frame. So until you get to this first frame, it doesn't move at all. Let's hide these two to make it easier. This doesn't move at all. Then you hit the first frame. This is just a position frame, so it changes the position. So what's happening is it's moving like the left edge. It's just moving the left edge further to the left. But then when it hits a certain point here, normally it would stop. But if you hold Alt and click the stopwatch, you get this little... Yeah, I just deleted it. You get this little secret thing. And you can type in a JavaScript command for specifically After Effects, and in this case, it's loop out cycle. And what that does is it will infinitely, the second it stops after, like, it goes, oh, there's no more frames left, it goes back to this frame. So it will just...
Oh, it just repeats the cycle.
Yep, it just repeats the cycle forever, and it will do that indefinitely. It's very, very useful. I use that a bunch in this video. I'm just going to edit undo that. Actually, I'll just remember not to save. I just won't touch anything. I don't think I'll ever need this again, but you never know. Yeah, so... Oh, here's another thing. This I think is the thing I spent the most amount of time on for fucking no reason. I faithfully recreated how this thought bubble works. There was no reason to do this. You can barely see it moving. So in P5, how the thought bubble works, if you watch it, it's not just a solid thing of black. It's basically a bunch of ovulating ovals. That's the wrong word, but...
Oscillating?
Oscillating, thank you. I mean, ovulating has oval in its first syllable, but still. They all bounce. You watch it bounce, and they just bounce in a cycle. The outline moves with them, and the white outline on the main bubble moves in a different way than the little white outline on the tail does. So, to recreate that, for no reason... Go back into board 1 for this, and let's find the thought bubble. Here he is. To do thought bubble, which got it working. I figured I might actually have to reuse this, which is why the reason I spent so much time on this is because you'd only sent me board 1. I literally had nothing else to work on.
Yeah.
So let's say you go into the main thing. Here's all the blacks. I did a similar function here where I made it loop again, and then I just moved them around. It's just the same oval squiggling. And then underneath it, I made a shape layer, which is the white outline. And I did another, I just went in with the shape.
You squiggled it.
Yep, I put like 2 or 3 frames in there. So it changes all of the points, I guess, around the shape, so they all move. I do this a lot in this video. Persona 5 is so motiony, it's so activated, like nothing stays still. It all does this, so I did a ton of that. And then let's go back to the start. I'm gonna have to close a bunch of these to clean things up. Joker and chains, render queue, board 1, doot. There we go. Yeah, anything else interesting here? Let's find out. Nothing too super special about this one. Oh yeah, this is another thing. By squunching it down, I can do a squash and stretch. So there's a word for this. Anticipation. Before a character does an action, you want to draw the viewer's eye very subtly. So to make it look like he's not static, you bounce him down, and then you actually do in anticipation of the real animation, which is him jumping. This actually ended up looking a lot better than I expected it to. I masked him out with a feather for exactly 1 frame, so it looks like he naturally flows into this bloody jump. Blop, and then he pops into this guy's head. I also bounce the principal a little when he's hit. And this is... I really love this. Like, technically this doesn't look exactly like the inspiration, but it looks better. So...
Yeah, no, I was actually pretty impressed at how you managed to just get that, like, feather effect to flow into it, because, like... When I was drawing that, I was like, oh shit, this has a lot of like bizarre, like painterly gradients and stuff, and it's gonna be a bitch for Jello to recreate. But
that's why I was worried when you were like, do you want these spirals or not? I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll try. This was actually pretty easy too, which was a nice surprise. This is based on just the metaverse effect. I didn't pull it up on YouTube, but whenever they go in, there's like a red and black woogity woo ripple effect. This is based on one of the menus, but you'll see this motif in a lot of places. There's like white and black outlines. The tail of this bubble dances. Pretty simple stuff. This shot was surprisingly a bitch, actually. Because it comes up sometimes. I had to do a good amount of editing. So I changed On and Haru's silhouettes so that they lock to the bottom left a little more and there's no negative space on the other side of them. Because say you've got this, and originally On had, like, you could see this bottom left corner. Then when Haru comes through, it's like, it like blinks for a second and you could see her mask going through.
Yeah, gotcha.
I actually added a shape for exactly 1 frame to cover it up here because it just looks weird and it draws your eye to the wrong spot. I also
Yeah.
moved Akechi in front. I like
Yeah, I
this.
did notice that. The stupid little bird beak is
I'm
really
smelling your
it's
nipple,
not
Joker.
very it's
This
not a
is what
very
Akechi's.
identifiable shape when you can't see the whole thing.
Yeah. This effect is specifically based on the one-time effect that comes up when you can name your group for the first
Not to
time.
enter any personal information.
So, thank you, person who allowed me to grab this. Yeah, so let's just frame through it. So this is a lot of, for me, this is fun. Like, this is the fun of making these videos, is going through frame by frame and going, how did they do that? Oh, well, this bar, that's weird. It doesn't slide in from the side. It comes out from the middle, but the book slides in from the left. And, oh, the book is kind of crunched horizontally, and then it comes out, and then just the name wiggles to draw your eye to it. So, you know, I just recreate that stuff. It's neat. I should have grabbed this effect too, but like I don't really need to. You can look it up. If you've played the game, you recognize this. Super proud of this, even though it's only around for like 3 seconds. This is just the loading screen of the game. Who is this, by the way, Siv? You said it was a secret OC of yours. Little Lolita girl. Did you drop from the call? Are you dead?
I muted because I had to tell Amy I was recording something, and I thought I unmuted myself, but I guess I didn't. That is a secret OC. People might see them, maybe. You'll find out.
Okay. Yeah, so just paper cutouts. I think in terms of things we successfully recreated, I think this might look the best out of any.
It looks real snazzy.
This looks really good. There's a couple things I couldn't recreate accurately. Like you can see, this is totally EY. At the bottom.
Well, I just copied the EYU one, so I didn't give a shit.
No. I mean, it looks really good. So normally they're supposed to get darker as they go down, but like EY's outline is wrong because of the way I've got some effects on him, and I just couldn't reasonably figure out a way to change that, and I figured no one would care. But other than that, this is pretty accurate. The trickiest part of this shot is, in the actual game, there's a really subtle, it's like a sunsetty bokeh light effect, and it's very blurry, but you can see it if you look at it, where as the figures walk, there is a slight light overlay on them that changes as they move. So you can see it most clearly on Joker, because I didn't darken him at all. That's actually a mistake, because using this overlay effect in After Effects, in my experience, is really finicky and doesn't work most of the time. So, I struggled with it for everyone else, and then on Joker it broke, and I just went, you know what? That's fine. He's the focus. No one cares.
He's the focus, and also there's things moving on him, so you're probably not going to see that anyway.
Yeah. And you can see as he moves, there's like kind of an orangey line, then a yellowy one, then it gets white down here. I've got like a picture of a sunset in there or something that I put into Photoshop and made it really blurry. Yeah, so I just bounce him a little. I made an additional frame, so this bulged out more subtly first. Boing. It's very hard to hear, but you can hear me doing a Morgana cat meow. I've been cast as a non-zero number of cats at this point, so I'm getting better and better at making cat noises. This shot. This is my greatest failure, actually, in a weird way.
No.
This is the effect I gave up on, flat out. It's a small thing. So I like the fact that you can, this Morgana, this is like its own composition, it moves. I set it up wrong. And I put a stroke around it, because normally Morgana's really thin, and the line doesn't work, because he's in the foreground, so his line art should be thicker. He should be definitely at least as thick as this line here along the building. And by doing that, the problem is it thickens up this in kind of a way that doesn't really work in perspective. And also, if you watch the video, the pixels here kind of jitter because it's a stroke effect and it's moving, so it doesn't 100% track correctly. It's hard to see with the, I don't know, with the pixelization with After Effects trying to load, but you can kind of see it get all bumpity and those move. It draws your eye in the wrong way. So I wanted to put a mask over this so that it would thin out the black line and kind of make it look like he was pointing into the distance. And I could not do it because I would have had to draw that mask accurately every frame because of the way I set it up. So I just said, you know what? Screw that. And I didn't do it. It's very subtle, but the lights, this background is based on the loading screen from Day to Day. You see the city appear from darkness. The lights appear first. I think this is the best looking background in the video. Though that's my bias, because I just love how it looks in the game, and I think you did a really good job with it. Yeah. But the lights go on and off. Those are also on a loop. It's Haru's dad. Rotten adults. It's really subtle, but Ryuji's phone is recording. He has a light that blinks in time with the background lights. Nothing fancy here. I just masked these guys out. They each pop out. This shot was so much time. Holy fuck.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here, though.
Yeah. So, Persona 5 has these, you can see them in most any cutscene. They've got these jaggedy borders, and it's hard to see in these videos, but I've got the contrast upped a little bit. They've got these stars on them. They have these stars hidden in them, and they very slowly, I actually have to drag faster than the playhead would normally go so you can see it, but they do animate.
They're undulating. I don't like it.
I got those, set them up, masked them in here, and then each of these is like a little star cluster of like 6 stars, and I just, resize it and angle it a different way every time, and then I cut it so it has kind of a fake border. It's actually just a bunch of masked stars, and that's around it. That's in 2 or 3 scenes. I'm really happy. This is the one that took a fuck ton of time that I'm glad I did. I don't know why, but it just, here, I'll get rid of it real quick, because I actually remember where this one is. This just looks so much worse if you have to sit on this for as long as this shot is here.
It is bizarre.
I don't know why, but like this feels purposeful. It kills a bunch of the negative space too.
It kills a bunch of the negative space. I'm thinking there's 2 things. One is that is a satisfying background on its own because there's so much going on, but what it is that the negative space that it kills up near the top there where it's got the gradient from the heavenly bathroom, I think it kind of like blocks that out and adds a bit of like, oh wait, what's that?
This is the stat star. I did a lot of little things on this. This is based on
efficiency. No.
This, though I went in and changed the, I did flat out almost redraw this because I went in and I was like, oh, yeah. Siv drew these in a way that looks nothing like it is in game, even though I gave a reference. I'm gonna remake those stink stats. So it's really small though. This might be like the smallest thing I've ever had that is supposed to like fully draw the viewer's eye on screen. Normally I try to zoom in, but that's like a 50th of the screen. So I was like, how do I draw their eye? So I added, oh, I'm past it. Wah wah.
Hey, run away.
Where are you at, Effect? It's hard to, you can see why After Effects is so slow. It does this with sound too. It just will play like silently 4 or 5 times before it works. Where are you? I'll just go into the stat star. There we go. Oh, please don't autosave, thanks. Okay. So, starts normal. To draw the viewer's attention, I have it flash twice. Again, not that you can really tell. Here, let me go to full. That'll make it a little easier to see. And then it's supposed to stretch, because when you get a level up, it just boings in a certain direction. There's no boinging here. I flick it back, and then I make it gray, so it looks like it fails for a second. It flashes gray. It shakes. You can't see it here, but the whole star itself shakes. Blah, blah, blah. And then it slowly fades back. Also, you can see if you watch the outside of the star, I've got it undulating again. Because that's how it be. All right. That's the 4th scene. I think this is the scene people are going to watch this video and they're going to come away remembering this more than anything else.
Yep.
And there's nothing really special on this. Yeah. It's like nothing I haven't done in any other, so this is basically...
I had a lot of fun drawing his tears.
Joker.
Because they're very like cartoonish the way I've drawn them here. I was going for like Ghibli tears, but like even bouncier.
Even Ghiblier.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Secret World of Arietti, where they're like small people and they still cry, but like because they keep water
is big.
water resistance accurate to the size. Their tears are fucking enormous. Yeah, I had a hard time finding a sound effect for this, so I just recorded myself crying multiple times.
I noticed that. Yeah.
A couple times as actual Joker, and then when I storyboarded this, and then when Siv showed it to me, I got this very distinct auditory visual of just. So I tried to do that voice, and it didn't sound as good. And I added a wobble board to it as well, and I I don't think I nailed it, but it works. This is the only time I've ever done all the way, no joke, for real lip flaps in a
You did do that.
My big worry was that I would put the time into this, and I was like, I know I'm not going to do it for Sai. I know I'm not going to do it for Ryuji and An. But, and I was worried it would look inconsistent, but, like, it doesn't, and I don't know why.
I'm so sorry that you had to do lip flaps for this scene, because this is where I had to, like, I was like, oh shit, I can go ham on his face and, like, the realisticness of it and stuff. So the fact that you had to recreate lip flaps from, like, a completely different art style is like,
It's not that hard. I'm better at mimicking other art styles than I am at being an actual artist. Amazingly, I think this one was harder to do than this one, because, like, this one, like, moving his stick was really annoying. I had to redraw specific parts of his, because, oh, by the way, when Siv hands these to me, I only got each lip flap, at least how I do it, is 3. So for this, you've got all the way open, all the way closed, and then there's a middle one in there somewhere. I think it's this one. It's hard to tell. So for this one, I think I had, I don't know. I don't even remember. I had, like,
I think I probably just gave you one for the one where he's farther away.
You gave me one for each of these.
Yeah.
You gave me this. This is why I actually did this, is because for his, like, not bad, you gave me this. I was like, that is a closed mouth. Like, that is just inarguably a shut mouth. So it's just like, well, if I'm gonna do the opening mouth, I might as well just fucking do it.
In my defense, because the storyboards are done in just the black and white, it's usually pretty hard for me to tell when you've stylized it as teeth or an open mouth, because that is a thing with some people's art styles. They will just draw tongues as white, and, like, I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at here.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, I did. So I lied. There's actually 2 secret flaps here for just his transition between when he goes. Because, like, none of the other ones worked. It just looked fucking weird. So I gave him this extra, like, really toothy one. And so he has, like, a big wolf grin in there, too.
Yeah.
Nothing special about this. I drew the glass.
Yeah, you went all out on that. It was really well done.
Yeah. I always feel like, I partially feel... Whenever people, because I've seen people who are like, oh, I'm really inspired by your art and animation. I'm like, you're probably talking about Siv's art. And I always go like, it's Siv. Look at Siv's stuff. And sometimes I'm like, man, I get a lot of credit for these videos. I barely do anything. It's like, actually, I do a really large amount. I just forget about it every time.
I think unless somehow I just, like, completely missed it in the first few, I think the more and more stibs we do, the more editing you do on my art.
I did a lot. I think I fucking edited everything in the Sonic video. Like, yeah, especially the first half of that, I pretty much touched up the whole fucking thing.
I don't know if I'll ever be at a lower point in my art life than that Sonic video.
Yeah, that was bad for both of us, and I don't really understand why. This shot, this took me a long time because I'm an idiot. This is entirely on me. I was normally for this. I love it. I love it whenever we just have a floating head. I think they're cute. It's just like,
they're cute.
Easy. We had a stroke. We had a drop shadow. And I was like, but what if it was animated? And then I also was like, Joker's body doesn't change position, so the animation should stay consistent between when his head changes, like a jackass. So I spent a ton of time making sure that animation cycle looped correctly, etc., etc. This one I don't think was worth it. It does look cool, but I don't think it looks necessarily that much better for being animated. Looks good though.
I feel like it really did help that shot because of all the negative space down below the
negative
girls.
Stace. Can't stop talking about the war. Nothing really special here. I am a huge fan of Joker falling over here. So
the in-between frame where he's blurred.
Yeah, I'll try. There is a hotkey for moving. Is it this? No. There is a hotkey for moving one frame at a time in this program. I always forget what it is. All right. So yeah, whenever someone falls over, God, I apologize for the blurriness every time I move anything. I'm just trying to get to the right frame. Let's zoom
there
way
it
in.
is.
Yep. So
there it is.
You want it to be a fluid motion, but you want it to be very fast. The less in between there is, the more punch something has usually. But you do still want to do the anticipation. So he kind of starts leaning. He's a little blurred. Oh, there he go. He very blurred.
He gone.
And I flatten the fuck out of him for this frame. He's boing. And I love that new sound I found. I had a lot of trouble. Usually, like, punch sounds are very easy. So, like, I don't think I nailed Ryuji's stupid. I think, like, had I gotten the sound effects right on that, it would have been a fucking riot. And it's as it is, it's, like, just very funny. And there's a lot of moments I felt like that for this video, because the biggest difference for After Effects is, so say you've got, each of these comps have their own audio. So say you turn the audio on. Oh, I want to check the audio. Oh, all right, it's under audio. Oh, waveform is a separate thing. And by that point, look how much vertical space this takes up. It is insane. Also,
it's
Jesus, look at this fucking pattern. This looks ridiculous. It's a little better. So it's like, oh, is this aligned with shit? Ugh. Also in this program, the audio is locked to the frame rate, which isn't necessarily bad, but Vegas is not locked to the frame rate. So it gives you a little more finesse. So I had to export the video a bunch of times and do all the sound work in Vegas, then bring that back into here for the final export. Big pain in the ass. That was my whole last day and a half. These guys fall. I redrew... What did I redraw? Let's make you be mad at me. I redrew Haru's leg. It was a little wonky.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She falls over. She has a hat, but I didn't want to bother with it. Is there a name for these little ghost flames? I just love these.
I don't know. I think they're called souls.
I didn't really do anything special for this shot. I just asked Siv to separate these heads, and I like this one.
I really like this shot.
I do too.
Cute.
This one feels very classic, so this is basically to me. Like,
yeah.
I could have done this in the other videos, and I like it. Then Futaba, and then the horrible squiggly. Anytime you hear any kind of squishing noise, that's just me with my mouth. I made a lot of custom sound effects for this video, actually, but the horrible tentacle noises are all me. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out a good sound effect for this, because I wanted it to feel worthless. Like it was doing no damage. Like there should be a Final Fantasy -1 coming off of it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I succeeded on the first one, but I think the second one is very funny. It's funny because these two are the super boss. They're the hardest fight in the game.
You can fight them?
Yeah, they're just an optional boss. I have not done it because I don't like interacting with them. Can I date a boy? I love that joke. I don't have any special anything.
I had so much fun drawing that middle fucking goblin bird face.
This is so funny. This face is the only thing. You made it way better than it was in the board, but it was like the only thing in the board I was like, I did a good job on that face. There's always like, I think once per board I do a good job on something, and once per video there's something I'm like, I kind of liked my board version better.
I like my version better, yeah. I totally understand that.
It's only once per video, so you have a very good batting average, but there is one every time. I don't know what it is for this video. I might if I see it. Yep, he just falls through the thing. I wanted to keep this, like, spinning in the air. I don't remember the reason for making this one black and white. I think I just thought it would look cool.
Yeah, there's like a certain effect that like there's like a thing in game where the characters are like chibi or something, and they're mostly like black and white
I did link
style.
that there. Yeah, it mostly comes out. There's like special illustrations. There's a part near the end of the game where it's like, oh, we've outfoxed the traitor, and here's how we did it. Where they have a bunch of those little illustrations, and they look very very cool. So I sent one of those, but like, I have a version where he as he falls, he slowly regains color, like as he approaches Sai. It looks bad though. It just didn't look as good, which is annoying because I had to color this one myself, and then it was like, oh, well, that sucks. Bye. Fuck this dungeon. I hate half the dungeons in this game. Like, I like Persona 5, and right now I have a very good opinion of it because I only played the 30 hours of it when I was replaying it. The first third is so good. It's like a 10 out of 10 game. Even the writing is good for the first third. And then...
That's how they get you!
And then, it really does feel like they could have used another year, but they'd already spent like 7 years on this game. That's kind of why I was like, oh, I'm excited for Royal, but like, of course, they're not going to change the writing or the story. They're going to change game shit. So... And from what I've heard, the writing they've added is a little silly. But they did add like 20 more hours of gameplay and some quality of life improvements. So if you don't own it, I would recommend buying it. Sai. So we'd held auditions for characters, and Sandra, who is Percy in Epithet Array, sent this in, and this is her read from the audition. I just went, this is hysterical. I laugh every time I hear it. We're just using that. We don't even need you to come in for an additional session. I'm trying to get to there we go. I'm actually not sure whether or not I like this effect. It looks interesting, but I don't know if it looks better. I made a bunch of oscillating triangles. They all move. They're all in their own pre-comp. You get the idea. Oh, I did. I edited her face a lot. Her eyes were like cartoon Disney princess huge. So I made the pupils tinier.
It's something about the Persona art style, specifically the way they draw eyes.
They're big, yeah.
The rest of the face. So every time I go to draw them, I'm like, is this too big? No, probably not.
This took 1.5 years. I hated making this.
Really?
Yeah, no. It was so hard. There's so much to keep track of. So whenever you get a choice, there's a bunch of things that appear. So let's see if I can do this. All right. So there's so much going on. I didn't ask you to draw me a goofy looking Joker to hide behind this because I thought black looked fine. I tried putting the "oh my stars and garters" hand on head Joker in there as a placeholder for when he falls over. But it didn't look good, so I said I said fuck it. Also, normally this is a cheat. Normally it comes out of Joker, but fuck it. So how this one works, this was definitely the hardest effect in the video. But yeah, I have them all dancing.
Oh, so bouncy, and then they gotta stretch out.
Yeah, this is a good example. You can't really see it here, so I'm
and they overlay each other back and forth.
Yeah, they overlay in a random way, bounce, 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 bounce. See how they like move staggered? It's really interesting. Like, it's cool to recreate because it's like, wow, I never would have noticed that. But these are each their own pre-comp. Then they swap to different pre-comps because the ones that are selected and white move, but the ones that are black don't move. So you swap it in, they move, etc., etc. It's just like, this is like 7 pre-comps, and you have to juggle them in the right order and put them. It's a bunch of plates to spin. I'm glad I got it because it looks really good. But I saw a fucking tutorial online. Someone was like, how to make the Persona 5 bubble effect in After Effects. And I was like, oh, awesome. And all they did was they just took a fucking flat, solid image and added like an ugly ass, like wiggly warp effect that like clearly like blurred it and looked fucking terrible. Like an alien about to burst out of a human chest. Ew. And I was like, this is not at all correct. So I just figured it out myself. I I just love this. The slapping is really funny. Sketchy a catchy is good.
I'm really proud how that graffiti came out.
It looks really good. That's something that I think you would always be better than me. You and Plaster is really good at graffiti, like graffiti style stuff. Have you ever seen her signature? It's like straight up just graffiti.
Rad.
Struggled a lot with the sound effects here too, because it's like
I really like how I drew the first in this one.
Yeah.
The second one's good too, but the first one is just so dumb. She looks like a bubble gum.
For real. Couldn't get these two structured in a way that made any sense. They were always overlapping, so it's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna black that out. No one will care. What do you think? Stupid? Like, yeah, these are also flaps I added. He looks so scared.
He looks like Ryuji looks like a goddamn bear trap.
Luckily, I got to just grab the shit from the other side and squunch it in a direction, so I could pretty easily remake it for this one. This shot was tricky because, like, there's a lot of camera movement. This is also something I can't do in Vegas, where I can, like, this is actually a good example, which there's so many layers on here now that I've added the separate sound effects. Is this it? No. Is this it? Yes. So, nope, that's wrong too. Keep going. Here we go. So this is what the full comp looks like. So I just animate everything, and then afterwards you have to manipulate the camera on its own, which means that, like, it looks weird to have Ryuji here with the choices on top of him. That looks bad. So how do we get rid of him? Well, I can see if I can even zoom in enough to show this. I can very quickly have the camera zoom into Joker, which means I'll need to go into the comp and move. Oh, wow, you can't even see it here, but Ryuji does, like, move up and outward as though there is parallax. Zooms in, and he's just gone for the rest of the shot because that's easier. It's like, have you ever seen in video games, they'll be like, yeah, it's funny, if you move the camera in this cutscene, a character who pretends to leave will walk behind a tree and then just stay there, or, like, instantly disappear.
Yeah.
It's all that shit.
Yep.
Because it's just easier. It's like a stupid puppet show, and it doesn't matter what you do behind the scenes because they're not going to see it. This was also tricky because the timing was wrong, so I had to go in. This is the last thing I did, is I went through and I chopped everything up, and, like, God, if I had to dig back into this file to edit something now, even, like, 12 hours later, it's like, I don't know if I could figure it out. I'm kind of lost.
There's so much going on in this program, and just, like, what's involved.
It's a lot. After Effects has maybe the steepest learning curve of any program I've ever used. Well, I think Premiere has a harder learning curve because it's designed by a dumbass, but this one's just Photoshop with these. Mishima's got this one. It was kind of a fun, tricky challenge to figure out how to transition each Mishima to the next. So for this one, I cheat, and you can see me bring in the background half a frame early, zoom into him so that it kind of flows naturally, and then he's here, you bounce him in. This one, his hand, I tried a bunch of shit with his, stop saving please. After Effects is nice and does frequent auto saves, but I don't want that right now.
Not right now.
Since he's going from hand clutch to his chest to hand all the way out, I have, like, one frame of his hand moving before it flicks out.
Oh, yeah. That translates pretty well.
Yeah, that worked better than I expected. Also, like, the trickiest thing with After Effects is, like, say I want to check, like, did that transition work? Use beginning and end. The hotkeys for moving the beginning and end of your work area, which is what you can see this little green bar. That's what After Effects has loaded. Are B and N. So I say that Ben controls After Effects, so I remember it. So
it's
like
time to shine the show. It's time to show. It's time to show.
So it took 3 plays for it to play correctly. That's why sound effects are so hard to do. Because, like, oh, what does this area sound like?
World, my true self.
Lagging, repeating, silence. Oh, this I animated from scratch.
Yeah, yeah.
The fire moves, I couldn't even recreate it the right way. I just gave up and like animated it normal, but it moves in this really staggered, interesting way. You know what? I am gonna open that up. It looks cool. Awakening. Yeah, all awakening catalysts. That's Yusuke's. Let's look at let's look at An's. She's the one I used as the reference. Doo-dee-dee. Okay. And then she gets a mask. She's gonna drool. This video is too long for me to try and thumb forward. Okay. So it's mostly a flash of bright white light, and then you'll watch these, there's a left, a center, and a right peel of flame, and they each move like individually in like a really staggered half motion. Ding, 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 before they disappear. It's really cool. Like literally every piece of effect animation is staggered in that way. Looks neat. So I do that for him. Grab his mask. This, I'm very fucking proud of what this looks like. This is 2 frames.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just bounces around. Fox appears. Fox is also voiced by Brandon Acosta. Hope I'm saying his name right. And Fox is based on Guy Fawkes, who is the dude that the anonymous mask is based on, because Mishima's an internet loser.
Mm-hmm.
Thou art... Yeah, I also have the fire comes in. It's masked with a feather, so it has like 3 frames when it comes in. I love this Ryuji.
Me too. I had fun drawing that Ryuji. You give me a really good base to work off of. He looks like his arms would make like...
Yeah, he looks like he's made of sticks.
Yay!
It's great because his little like... His Rebel Phantom Thief outfit so naturally makes this look better because of the little tyke skateboarder elbow and knee guards. Yeah. I tried to do this thing where his mouth just like lazily and endlessly flaps, where it's just like, Mishima, are you okay? Just open and close and open and close. It like kind of worked, but also kind of didn't. I sort of regret.
I think it worked. From what I remember, I'm pretty sure I got what you were going for.
I actually did want to go back to it, but I legit forgot before the last render, and the first render I did failed because somehow After Effects outputted a 4-minute video that was 55 gigabytes, which is like 10% of my computer. So Christ. I had to delete that because my computer couldn't fucking open it. Yeah, he just shakes it here. This is another like. I don't know, with the Uncle Crow and Ruby shot, I thought I fucking nailed that. I thought it was like the funniest thing I'd ever done. This one, you handed me gold, and I was like, I don't know. I think I did okay. Weirdly, this is the funniest part to me. Him just shaking endlessly afterwards. Oh, one good thing about this video, I wanted to make a bunch of my own shake sounds, so I had a bag of candy and some crackers, and I recorded myself. I had an empty thing of marinara sauce, and I put a Snapple cap in it, and I shook it around, and I pitched it down, and it made like perfect skeleton moving noises. So I have that now. And then Kasumi comes in. Is that her name? I don't remember.
Yeah, Kasumi.
Kasumi. And then yeah, just the last effect is just the same same thing as the opening, where it has that swath of black go over to transition it. It's such a weird, like, wait, is this a serious advertisement for this game you were just kind of making fun of? And like, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna pull the rug out from under me? No.
No, just straight up. This is a real advertisement. And as far as I know, Atlas liked it, so...
I haven't gotten my evil email yet.
Yeah. No, I got the email from Ariana. She said, she's like, oh, we're going to be quoting the EYE gun thing for like a week. So, yeah. And then I was very tired and I made a credit sequence that I don't really like that much.
It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. I believe that's everything. Long.
You put a lot of, like, tiny bits of work into that.
I sure did. I always do, but especially for this video. Oops.
Oops.
Bye.